back to ACB Wrestling Talk, your main source for wrestling news and wrestling discussions. I'm, of course, your host, Alexis Carrillo, and let's get into some wrestling talk. Last night on Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins came out and did what he had to do. He became the heel. He became the bad guy that Monday Night Raw needs right now, with, of course, the absence of current WWE Champion Brock Lesnar. And the fact is that this brand new Seth Rollins as a heel character, much more interesting than his babyface character, and a tad little bit more entertaining than when he was a part of the Authority. This Seth Rollins now seems like he doesn't believe like he's the hero. He doesn't believe he's the villain. He believes he's the hero. He believes he's doing what's right for himself, for the AOP, for WWE, for Monday Night Raw, and for the WWE Universe. And he said that last night when he pretty much outright told the WWE that he, Seth Rollins, was going to lead Monday Night Raw and WWE into the future, whether the fans liked it or not. And now he has enforcers, like the Authors of Pain, to do so, to enforce his will, which makes him that much more dangerous. And again, most of you might be tired that I keep going back to that will, but I can't help but feel that if Seth Rollins was currently WWE Champion instead of Lesnar, and Seth Rollins as champion had the AOP by his side, it would be a much more interesting, much more full circle storyline, because again, over the past 5 years, there's been countless amounts of episodes of Monday Night Raw without a world champion, and that just sucks. The OC defeated the Viking Leaders in a non-title match, proving yet again that WWE Creative is predictable, and WWE Creative follows suit on their own textbook rules. Don't give them a title don't give them a title win right away. If you want to save the feud, if you want to stretch the feud as far as possible, go ahead and book a match on a pay-per-view and then in a no contest. Rollins versus Wyatt, anybody? And when that happens, possibly book a non-title match on a random episode of Raw or SmackDown and have the non-champions win, quote-unquote, proving their worth as to maybe they could possibly become tag team champions in the future. Textbook. Right there. Bobby Lashley asked Lana to marry him, but apparently it wasn't just out of Bobby Lashley's big heart. No. Lana asked Bobby Lashley to ask her to marry him. Apparently, there was a rehearsal. Apparently, Lana, now, currently, in this storyline, Lana is now capable of completely manipulating Bobby Lashley. And again, you take one look at Lana, and as a man, as a red cell blooded, whatever you call it, as a man, you take one look at Lana, and you go, yeah, I'll do anything. I would do anything. So, point to creative on that part. But it also doesn't help in the future when you're gonna want to make Bobby Lashley a main eventer, that you have this on his record. That you have him being manipulated by Lana on his record. And trust me, Lashley and Rusev are far from over. It's not nearly done with this entire rivalry, especially since the fact that Lana said yes. So congratulations to Lashley and Lana for the nuptials. But be aware that Rusev is going to come knocking on your door to see what the hell is up with that wedding. And again, he said it on Raw once. I believe he said it on Raw. Or was it TLC? Well, whichever one. Rusev said it. He's actually kind of thrilled that Lana's getting married again because he doesn't have to pay alimony. So, good on that. Good on seeing the bright side. We got a no-nonsense, no rhyme or reason gauntlet match to determine the number one contender to the U.S. Championship, where we had R-Truth. We had the surprisingly over Matt Hardy. Surprisingly over. We had Ricochet and Akira Tozawa also in that match. Andrade and Carrillo ended the match in a no contest, proving that the past 20 to 30 minutes were great wrestling, but had no point to them because no number one contender was determined. No winner was announced. Seth Rollins came out with his AOP and started step one of enforcing as well. He beat down the current United States champion, Rey Mysterio, and then he outright challenged him to a title match for next week. So again, back to the crutch that WWE Creative have pretty much built for themselves in the current storylines. Brock Lesnar's away. He's not coming back, not anytime soon. He's the world champion. So if he's not coming back, the top champion right now is Rey Mysterio. And because he's the top champion, Seth Rollins needs to target him. Again, nothing against the U.S. title, but it's a mid-card title. It's the secondary title of Monday Night Raw. And Seth Rollins and the AOP, they're a main event act. Kind of in the same way AJ Styles and the OC, when they were all champions, AJ Styles US champion, OC tag team champions, that was also a main event act. But you had Rollins as Universal Champion. Now, by default, you have to go after the US title. Will Seth Rollins get the win over Rey Mysterio? I should hope so. He should. He should become the new United States champion. What kind of message is WWE sending to its audience if Rollins and the AOP can't get their first real job done? It doesn't matter. I don't care. Kevin Owens can come into play later. I don't care if Kevin Owens interferes, but at the end of the day, Seth Rollins needs to become United States champion. Okay? It can't be the first time that they're on a mission to get a title and Kevin Owens, which is most likely what happened because, again, this was all taped last night on Raw, Kevin Owens ruins it for them and this becomes a titleless feud. Rollins needs to become U.S. champion. At least that's my view. If you have a different view, feel free to leave your comments and thoughts on the comment section below. We got a debuting Deonna Purrazzo. Damn it. Can't figure out how to pronounce her name. If I'm butchering it, I apologize, Deonna. But she did made her main roster debut in a losing effort to Asuka, who the current Raw Women's Champion, the man, Becky Lynch, has some beef with. Yes, Becky Lynch, the man, has never been able to defeat Asuka. Not in a singles title match, not in a tag team title match. We've seen this over the past 2 TLC events. Asuka has had Becky Lynch's number, and now the man wants to change that. So, can we expect Becky Lynch versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at the Royal Rumble? Hell yeah. Especially since Kairi Sane is not cleared to be in any kind of in-ring action right now. So they're gonna have to give Asuka some singles competitor momentum. And a feud with Becky Lynch, well, what more momentum do you need? And finally, the show ended with Randy Orton defeating AJ Styles, which is surprising because, again, this is just the beginning of their rivalry. Normally, the heel wins the first match, causing the babyface to have to chase him. That didn't happen here. The RKO proved to be futile for AJ Styles. Then, typical creative, OC comes out, beats down on Randy Orton. Viking Leaders out to make the save. We got six-man brawl, and the OC stand tall at the end, the entire OC. So again, Raw has been taped for next week. I want you all to please try to not spoil next week's episode of Monday Night Raw. Because again, there are fans such as myself who do not like to read spoilers. I do not mind. Sorry. I don't mind reading spoilers. I don't mind knowing what the spoilers are, because at the end of the day, watching something is much more different than reading something. If you don't believe me, look at the Harry Potter books, look at the Harry Potter movies. Okay? Made my point right there. Sin Cara has been in the headlines of wrestling news websites for a few days now. Simply put, he was granted his release by WWE. He had reportedly 3 years left on his WWE contract, and WWE granted his release because they believed that Sin Cara had no value to someone like AEW in the United States, in the American wrestling industry, without the Sin Cara gimmick, Sin Cara being trademarked by WWE. And because he was granted his release, Sin Cara, real name Jorge Arias, has as most WWE superstars have, they have a 90-day no-compete clause. And I believe this is just a matter of not being able to appear on TV, not being able to appear on any kind of pay-per-view or any kind of broadcast for any professional wrestling company anywhere. At least that's my belief. Sin Cara showed up at the recent AAA Guerra de Titanes event this past weekend. He not only showed up, not as Jorge Arias, he showed up as Sin Cara. And he wasn't wearing a different mask, no. He wasn't wearing, a brand new mask for AAA. No, he was basically wearing the same exact mask he used in WWE. And according to the Wrestling Observer Radio, according to that source, again, it's just a radio show I sometimes listen to, WWE has not given Arias the right to use the Sin Cara name. Again, WWE trademarked that name. WWE owns that name. So again, what to do next? Is Jorge Arias in big problems? He should be. I mean, I'm not aware of the statute of limitations in terms of trademark. I'm not aware if it just applies to the United States, if it just applies to North America, if it just applies to the entire world. I'm not aware of that, and again, I apologize because I did not have time to look into it, but I will. Again, I apologize for that. But as far as I'm concerned, WWE has quite an argument to go against Sin Cara, to go against Jorge Arias. Because AAA is now doing business with the WWE trademarked character. And that is, unless there's a previous agreement between WWE and AAA, then that's against the law. So we'll just have to wait and see what results in all of this. Hopefully, WWE can settle this, and Jorge Arias is not affected by it, and neither is AAA. At the end of this, all that really needs to happen, in my mind, is, just keep business flowing for WWE, for AAA, and for Jorge Arias. That's that. AEW, All Elite Wrestling, reached a milestone because they recently announced that they have sold 100,000 live event tickets. And this apparently, I don't know if it's over the entire year, because they still have a few more events, maybe 1 or 2 more events to be held in 2019. But they, in this entire year, pretty much in 8, 9, 10 months. I believe Double or Nothing was their first event of the entire year. They've held 16 live events, and they've sold 100,000 tickets, so it's about an average of 6,000 tickets per show. So this is what AEW president and CEO had to say, and I quote, "To think 1 year ago we hadn't yet announced the launch of AEW and our first show wouldn't occur until late May, and today we are celebrating more than 100,000 live event tickets sold. It's been an incredible run and a credit to our talent, our partners at TNT, and our great wrestling fans for making it happen. The best part is, this is just the beginning." So again, good on AEW, 100,000 live event tickets sold. That's nothing to, be mad about, especially since it's your first year. Let's see what happens for their second year, because in their second year, they're not going to have 16, 17, 18, 20 live events. No. In their second year, they're going to have closer to about 50, I suppose. 50 to 60 events, counting the pay-per-views and counting every single weekly Dynamite broadcast. Let's see if they can keep this momentum going, because I believe, and I read it on just an interview a few days ago, Chris Jericho, the current Le Champion, AEW World Champion, believes AEW's honeymoon period is over. I do so too. Their honeymoon period is over unless they can get someone like Marty Scurll to make their debut on AEW. Excitement for All Elite Wrestling's product is winding down, little by little, but it's winding down. Viewership proves that. Live event ticket sales prove that. Can AEW bounce back for 2020? They should, and hopefully they will. Because again, if AEW is on top of their game, that means more and more entertaining wrestling product for us, the wrestling fans. Saudi Arabian journalist Mr. King recently spoke to Wrestling Inc. on their Winkley podcast on the historic occasion of having finally having a women's match in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This is what Mr. King had to say, and I quote, "That was a history-making moment. The women in Saudi Arabia are now allowed to do a lot of stuff in Saudi Arabia, that they weren't able to do before, like driving cars. So this match gives a touching moment to the women to do something huge. Their dreams can be true here in Saudi Arabia. This is the beginning of a new age, so I think this is huge for the women of Saudi Arabia. I think there needs to be women's wrestling in Saudi Arabia because almost every single wrestling show in the world has a women's division. But in Saudi Arabia, we didn't have a wrestling division for women. This has really touched the women of Saudi Arabia and has given them hope that they can achieve their dreams here. The difference of the culture and our religion rules are different than any other religion. It was a thing to respect our culture and religion. The WWE respected that and gave the women suitable clothes in the match. A lot of people were really happy, and there were a lot of people who weren't happy about it. That's a normal thing, as not 100% of people will agree with you. I truly understand their opinion and their words, as this change in the country is a little different for them. So, we have to respect their opinion." And on that final note from Saudi Arabian journalist Mr. King, we have to respect their opinion. I talked about this over a year ago when we had the very first Crown Jewel event. I talked about it. Most fans did not want WWE to do business in Saudi Arabia because of their culture, because of their religion, because it was different from WWE. And again, going back to what Mr. King had to say, respect their opinion, respect their culture, respect their religion. Countries evolve in a different way. And again, I don't want to get into politics, but at the end of the day, You can't force someone to do something that they don't want to do, just as much as they can't force you to do something that you don't want to do. So stop being self-righteous and just respect their opinion, their culture, their religion. Whether they change or not, that's up to them. That's that. Why get so hung up on something that is completely out of your control? So, that's all I've got to say right there. And hopefully, we get more women's wrestling matches on these Saudi Arabian shows coming in the future. And finally, today is Tuesday night. Today is Tuesday, which means Impact Wrestling on Access TV. We've got quite a few matches. We've got Ace Austin, current X Division champion, facing up against the veteran in P.D. Williams. Easy win for Ace Austin. Sorry, P.D., but again, we gotta put over the younger guys. We got Daga versus TJP. TJP returned last week on Impact to help out Fallah Bahh, so I can't help but fear that we're going to have the Desi Hit Squad get involved in this match, seeing as Daga is not a heel. So, babyface versus babyface, Desi Hit Squad gets involved. There you go. Jordynne Grace versus Tenille Dashwood. Dashwood we haven't seen, I believe we haven't seen since her loss at Bound for Glory. And Jordynne Grace is poised to be a challenger, a top challenger for the Knockouts title in the future. So again, Jordynne Grace, Big Mama Pump, gets the win. Joey Ryan versus AC Romero. Gotta give it here to AC Romero. Joey Ryan is a big name in Impact Wrestling right now, if you look at that roster. But he is a comedy wrestler. And because he's a comedy wrestler, a loss that won't affect him as much. So again, give it to AC Romero. And we've got what is set to be the show stealer tonight, Rich Swann, facing off against Ethan Page. Swann and Mac being current #1 contenders to the Impact World Tag Team Championships at Hard to Kill. And the way they've been booking Rich Swann right now, I've got to give this to Rich Swann over Ethan Page. 1, 2, 3. That's that. But we also got a segment involving the current Impact World Champion, the leader of OVE, Sami Callihan, who has vowed to expose Tessa Blanchard. In what way will he expose the current #1 contender to the Impact World title at Hard to Kill? I honestly don't know. But it will be interesting to find out. Especially one thing that I hope they touch on tonight's episode of Impact is what the hell happened last week with Sami Callihan and Madman Fulton. So, if you're going to tune into Impact Wrestling, leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions on the comments section below. Let me know if you're going to tune into Impact Wrestling on Access TV. So that's been it for today's episode of ACB Wrestling Talk. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. That's it for me. Till next time.